Kia ora, and welcome to our Autism Teaching Methods module for tonight. Vinesh and Charlotte. And we're going to start with the contents page. And this is what is included in our sharing tonight. So we're going to share our mahi. Number 2, our sensory considerations and the environment adaptations that we need to make. Mahi 3. Number 4, the peer approaches. Number 5, the story supports. And number 6, our aru mata and why.
Okay, so the first part of the module, this was the mahi part where we had to watch the video clip on the sensory experience and sounds of the classroom. And this is where we had to think about our own setting and the possible sensory experiences that students could possibly have and anything that might affect their ability to concentrate. So while my recent experience is that the modern learning environments don't actually work well for students with autism because they feel very overwhelmed by the crowded classrooms and there's no, being left on their own as well during the times of independent work. And also another challenge would be classrooms that are closed off with high walls and no doors, noisy surroundings, or noisy environment, background noise, seating arrangements and the layout of the classroom, if there's no clear pathways or a quiet place in the classroom for when they can go when they're feeling overwhelmed. Another thing is cluttered classrooms and no organization or order, bright lights or fluorescent lighting, and strongly scented products like perfumes and deodorants. And some of these students also suffer with fine and gross motor skills like balance and movement. So that will be another thing that needs to be considered for them. And of course, not having those work systems in place, like, the structure, the organization, and all of that. Classroom temperature is another thing, and texture and taste of food. So I've also learned, like with this module, we were exposed to these two terms, which is hypersensitivity and hyposensitivity. And so there's different types of sensory experiences. So some autistic students are oversensitive and some autistic students are undersensitive. And there's different examples, which we will show you in the next few clips.
I also thought about the modern learning environment after working in there this year with autistic students, seeing especially the noise level and all the distractions and how hard that can make it for the students. So the modern learning environment that I've been supporting the kayako and students in, there's 6 other teachers in there. The noise of singing, or when they go to assembly, the outside noises, you can hear all the building work, the construction sounds, traffic, planes, and lots of things on the wall and lots of teachers' work and posters. So overstimulating environment, which causes a sensory overload. If things are untidy or limited routines and organization, the lighting, and like you talked about the workstations, like if all the seating arrangements are the same chairs and desks, and like you talked about as well, the sensitivity to touch, smell, and different textures. And then I watched this video that was quite hard to watch. It says, "Can you make it to the end?" And so you're put into the position of being the autistic person in the video and what it would feel like to see the world through their eyes.
That's really good. I like that. It's sad to see from their point of view, how daunting it is for them to overcome all those experiences. Okay, I'll move on to the next slide. Oh. You want to watch it?
No, I think it
Okay.
just, if you click again, it should stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is so this is the second Mahi section, and this talks about the school environment having significant impact on the functioning and learning of autistic students. And I think both Charlotte and I have completed the sensory audit. And it also says, can you provide and identify possible improvements which could be made? I haven't shared the sensory audit on here, but I do have it completed. I forgot to share it. So some of the suggestions that I've included is having quiet spaces for reading or calming when the child is feeling overwhelmed, and introducing the child to new places at quiet times and gradually increasing the amount of time they spend there later in the visits. Providing the child with earplugs or noise-canceling headphones to help with sound sensitivities, and reducing visual clutter by having desks well organized, wall displays well structured and not overly cluttered and themed. Having natural light or LED lighting rather than fluorescent tube lights, and keeping the noise levels down. I would say with having the natural light, another suggestion would be like avoiding bright lights or sunlight because they don't like the direct sunlight on them. So that will apply to having the, seating arrangements. Keeping noise levels down, having well-structured activities which are supported by visual and written schedules, and also providing easy and fun short movement and sensory breaks, really important for them. And also having that tactile support by calming tools like swishy balls to reduce anxiety. And then I discovered this noise meter online, which actually helps to keep to block or distract all those noisy levels. So then if you go into it, it gives you like different. Actually, it's got a section there for ADHD, and it actually gives you the sound that actually distracts you from the other external sounds that's going on in your classroom environment or outdoors or something, so that students with ASD can block out all other sounds.
Oh, that could even be worth trying in our office, our open plan office.
Yeah.
Because I find it so hard to focus in there. I want to have a
Yeah.
look at it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just took a screenshot of the first part of the sensory audit that I've done, and I'll add that to my portfolio. So possible improvements that I identified could be like a clear, tidy workstations, because it was difficult for the students to see where to put their activities away or where they had come from. So including visual labels, also having a visual timetable, natural lighting, staff professional development for using a modern learning environment effectively, because different teachers had different beliefs and expectations of what the autistic children should and shouldn't be able to do, and develop a breakout space for the neurodiverse students, alternative seating arrangements, and alternative activities for the students who find it difficult with writing. For example, like a large blackboard, which Casey Caterpillar, like all the gross motor school and fine motor school recommends, more fine motor school activities, because the autistic and other children in the MLE were struggling with it. And the teachers talked about having art easels to help with those motor skills as well.
You want to go first or must I?
Okay. I'm gonna go away from the dog. Hold on. The classroom environment can be difficult to understand and tolerate for autistic students. Can you identify adaptations that you have or could make to your setting? So I've got in a global setting, so the lighting, like we talked about, the natural lighting, noise control, reducing the background noise, so trying that app that you suggested, establishing clear routines, minimize the visual clutter so the kids aren't overstimulated, sensory materials, a range of different sensory materials like fidget tools, weighted items like a weighted blanket, but we've used weighted soft toys. The seating arrangements in the class, so having flexible seating, sensory breaks, so incorporating brain breaks, and movement, and so having that in between activities to allow the students to refocus their attention, and have individual strategies targeted at the sensory needs of the individual autistic students. So, for example, those individual ones might be, or there might be a group of students that have it, noise cancelling headphones. If a student's overwhelmed or distracted, they might have a workstation that they can sit in with a desk with walls around it.
So I've got some hypersensitivity to light, like something similar to what you mentioned, Charlotte, about seating a child away from the windows, or allowing them to use a baseball cap or sunglasses, and also having muted colors in the classroom, because obviously they don't actually like those very bright colors and bright lights. And of course, we've seen very often in casework that classrooms don't actually cater for students needing that quiet place, and having a calming zone or a calming corner with the right kind of equipment as well, like having those bean bags and cushions, so that they can feel where they can relax and just, lie down, and also having other calming things in that breakout space, like maybe mindful activities, or there's a range of activities that or tools that you can actually have in a calming space, but also limiting it so that they're not feeling overwhelmed, but things that they can do that will make them feel more comfortable. Auditory sensitivity, the noise canceling earplugs or headphones, and providing transitional signals for changes. I think music and timers and traffic light systems are really good because it gives them a good heads up of what's going to happen. Personalized timetables for regular breaks throughout the day, and also giving them time to have those breakout sessions or play times or iPad times can be used as a reward incentive as well. And I think I've mentioned this before about those children who are sensitive to smell, that we can allow them to take a sweatband with a drop of oil or shampoo, and so that they can mask that uncomfortable smell. Next one. So Dunn 1999 identified some characteristics of sensory seekers. Can you identify students who display sensory seeking behaviors in your classroom or school, and any adaptations that have been made to enable inclusion and participation? So becoming overly excitable during a movement or activity, I would say use calming strategies like fidget toys, because that actually gives them a little bit more focus, and they can use that. Seek all kinds of movement, and this interferes with daily routines. I think social stories will be really useful to overcome this challenge for them. And that social stories around routines and how they can manage those routines and that movement. Jumps from one activity to another so that it interferes with play. A possible suggestion is using the first and next boards. Having difficulty paying attention, so this will maybe short breaks, either taking a walk or doing some exercise, or having a brain break, or going to the calming corner. Enjoys strange noises or seeks to make noise for noise sake. So I think one suggestion is keeping the child's mouth busy with chewable fidgets, because then it prevents them from actually making those noises, and providing those fidgets for them. Touching people and objects repeatedly. So yeah, it's about that explicit teaching of respect and boundaries, and you can do this with the aid of role models or role plays in order to teach them the correct expected behavior in those situations. A social story could also be useful for that.
The fire alarm was just going. I'm just putting myself on standby.
Okay.
Becoming overly excitable during a movement activity. So regular brain break. So it's not just like a movement activity that they've waited a long time for and the excitement builds, and regular physical activity. So clear routines and expectations around those breaks. So that's part of the school routine. So the same expectations. Sexual kind of movement. So I thought of things like go noodle, bucket drumming, body percussion, jumps from one activity to another. So having like peer leaders, role models, visual timetable. Has difficulty paying attention. So limiting distractions, trying to limit the noise, the visual distractions, and having the workstations. Enjoys strange noises. To make noise for noise sake. So, like how we've read about autistic kids really benefit from music. So classroom music. I thought you could try that Benny Bagel mindfulness song. Touches people. Oh, so like talking about helpful hands and bucket fillers. How you use your hands positively.
That's good. You want to go first, Charlotte?
Yes. So research shows a significant link between sensory processing difficulties and anxiety. Can you identify strategies that would be useful to students who have a fight, flight, freeze response to sensory overload? So by reducing the load in areas where they're oversensitive, so knowing the individual and what area that is, and having supports in the classroom. Provide ways to manage the anxiety. So having a sensory diet with brain breaks, a safe classroom environment, predictable routines, visual supports, sensory calm down spaces and tools, teach self-regulation, a supportive classroom climate where the peers are taught to support the neurodiverse students, have individualized sensory support, accommodations, like you said about the hat, headphones, the chewy necklace if their sensory is putting things in their mouth, learning assistant support, and making sure it's strengths-based.
Teach self-calming techniques like deep breathing, yoga, and mindfulness activities, and then also offering simple calming strategies like counting to 10, listening to music, reading a book, finding a quiet place, taking a walk. And then, of course, having those sensory toys available like the squeezy balls or the weighted blanket or stuffed animals or even a favorite object or toy. And visual supports and predictable, repetitive routines. I've read that this is really useful for autistic kids. And of course, it will benefit all other students. It's been of benefit to all other students as well. And of course, the explicit teaching of those social, emotional, and self-regulation skills in the classroom, the daily practice. Reminders of those as well.
Cold.
Okay, so
My
sorry?
bed's getting.
So this is the next Mahi section, and it says, how do you currently develop social skills and friendship skills in your context? And I think from my past experience in the classroom, I think I would help teachers to actually create that classroom culture and treaty and values, because that also helps to develop social skills and friendship. Friends Resilience program is really useful for doing that, and because we are currently working in many schools implementing that, I can see that there is huge benefit in actually developing the social skills of students. Peer mediation and coaching, which we're currently learning a lot about and which I am currently implementing as well. And promoting connections through common interests. So when students have common interests or common projects that they are working through, that also develops their social skills. Being a positive role model and encouraging students to be positive role models as well, and encouraging buddy systems or creating opportunities for them to work with different buddies and different pairing systems, and encouraging that interaction with others. And could this circle of friends approach be adapted for use in your context? I think it can be adapted for all levels, primary, intermediate, and secondary, and also can be used like for small groups or a whole class, because it encourages the peer interaction of either the whole classroom or those group of students that you're targeting. And then I know that this also helps to develop their understanding and empathy, and that the cultural considerations of the groupings need to be considered, and the active listening and respectful interactions that need to be encouraged with this. And the last one was, how do you promote a sense of belonging and social support in your context? And yeah, I've said that we need to celebrate each child's uniqueness by praising and celebrating their achievements and focusing on their strengths. And one of the thing, and the other thing with this, by celebrating them, is also putting the work on wall displays and celebrating that as well. Another way of showing, because students love that, and Fano and other people who are coming into the classroom can also look at the work, sharing it with other classrooms or at assemblies to celebrate their achievements. Fostering the building of student identity and relationships, explicit teaching and weaving of social emotional behavior and practices, and incorporating those Ahura activities as well, that holistic well-being, and the role play of social situations, behavior scenarios and things like that.
That's awesome, Vinesh. You got lots of things that I didn't think of. So I learned lots from you. Yeah, thank you. Having buddies that are trained to work with the neurodiverse students, the Friends Resilience program that you talked about, using social stories, visual supports. Could the circle of friends be adapted? And I thought thinking about like high school intermediate, a way to adapt it and like leveling it up. Like I've seen it in an East Auckland school, and they call it a hangout club, where not just autistic students, but students that might be having trouble making friends, they get invited to come to the hangout club, and then they get to invite somebody to come as well. And they would do really like awesome things there, and it would be 1 or 2 lunchtimes every week. A different way of making it run. And how do you promote a sense of belonging? Just really showing value and respect to all, like so right from the caretaker, the teacher aides, the office staff, like just modeling that, and that coming from the school leadership, it's so important. Because we know that schools that we go into where you can see that the teachers aren't happy or may not be promoted, like praise for the good job that they're doing. That feeling goes through right into the classroom. So high expectations for all students. So promoting, modeling, encouraging the school values.
I just go back to the circle of friends. I also read an article while I was doing this module. It was all about how a secondary school has implemented Circle of Friends in their school and all the challenges they faced. It was really interesting because like I saw it from a whole different perspective to the way I was thinking about doing it. But I'll go to the next one. You want to go first, Charlotte?
Yes. So consider the benefits of social inclusion in the classroom. So inclusion of autistic students in everyday classroom, school learning activities is the ultimate goal. Research shows that it's more beneficial to help educate the other students in the class and specific methods to support and include autistic students. So stay, play, and talk. A supportive environment that's crucial to the success of this technique. The students help out and they're taught to stay alongside the autistic student, play alongside them, speak to the student, using reduced language, for example, like the rule of 5 that we talked about in the last module. And this supports with reduced stress with the student having to think about who they're playing with, that they've got their circle of friends. And I also thought about creating a special interest club for the students to join.
That's a good idea as well. So I've got providing, well, with this module, I think the two things that the two approaches they were focusing on is stay, play, and talk, and circle of friends. And some of the things I learned is that some of the ideas was providing understanding, acceptance, and information about autism, and actually normalizing differences in the classroom, and using peers as buddies for autistic students is another way which has been found to promote acceptance, according to Campbell. And peers actually help to navigate social situation, and it encourages, and that peer interaction encourages communication and interaction. And this is another quote which I thought was really valid. For the autistic student, peer understanding and acceptance increases the opportunity for social learning and improved outcomes. For the neurotypical student, it offers opportunities to learn about differences, tolerance, and compassion, which are key leadership qualities.
Oh, that's nice.
So the next one. So good planning is important in the successful implementation of peer-mediated approaches. What resources and people would you need to successfully implement a strategy such as Circle of Friends in your context? So I think the first step is setting a goal and developing and a possible goal could be, I've listed here, is developing and improving specific social skills. Obviously that's just a like very broad one, but we'll have to be more specific than that. And then recruiting peers who must be similar in age and skill, and they must be willing participants who are regularly available. And it also helps if they have similar interest as the autistic student. And another important factor that we need to take into account is the relationship that the peer has with the autistic child. What kind of relationship do they actually like? That should be something that needs to be considered. And peers who have different ability levels include peers of different ability levels, so that the ASD student will not stand out or feel uncomfortable. Also, that the peers need to be receptive to teacher instruction, so they're willing to take instruction, that they can demonstrate flexibility, and that they have the same level of social, emotional, and cognitive, that peers need to have the same level of social and emotional and cognitive development. And working with peers, teachers or specialist teachers or TAs need to work with peers so that they can understand the goals and that they can be involved in role playing that to the before they actually interact with those autistic students, and providing verbal prompts and feedback to both peers and Mokopona with ASD.
Awesome. And the resource that I thought about, the good planning approach was making sure about the selection of the peers and training the peers. So I recommended in the module to be the same age or older, but I wonder whether some students, like how you talked about, so they don't stand out. I wonder if you could have some younger students, like it would be a good leadership opportunity for them. Respond positively to instruction and the students that you choose, and like you talked about similar interests. But then it would be good as well for them to have, like, for each of the students to learn something different. Like if the autistic student had a real interest or passion, like it could be cool for them to teach other kids that maybe haven't been had the influence of that. The language skills will be important, and for the peers to be socially respected by others involved.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, like as you spoke about, like the different interests and the age groups and all is, I suppose, depending on the context of the situation.
Just
Because
knowing
it-
things, yeah. So this one's about training for peers. So consider what skills and resources you would need to confidently deliver peer training to your students. Empathy, by helping them understand the experiences and the perspectives of the individual. Encourage students to put themselves in the shoes of their peers with autism, fostering understanding and compassion. And then having visual aids such as posters, diagrams, and handouts to support the students' understanding of autism. Utilize materials such as books, videos, or online materials. Personal experience. And FOSSA will invite individuals from the autistic student's family to share their experiences, and personal stories can create a deeper understanding of the connection, helping the students to relate and show empathy with their peers.
Really, yeah, I really like all those ideas that you shared. I remember reading about the empathy part in the module as well. I've got goal setting, modeling, because I think it's really important to model training, as you mentioned before, Charlotte, in the previous slide, which may also involve role playing. And it's important for us to coach and mentor the peers using verbal prompts, fading the prompts as well, so that you can create that independence and eventually like scaffolding them so that they're able to do whatever's expected of them. Regular meetings with the friends to review progress and provide feedback. Praise to motivate and encourage and engage them. Practicing daily practice, teaching diversity and embracing differences. And you spoke about empathy. Open and honest talk about autism and how it affects the students, and consultation with parents and caregivers of the students involved. Yeah, great. The concept of social stories. So we come to the last section of the module, and which was on social stories. The concept of social stories, Gray and Garand, was developed from theories about social cognition of autistic students. What difficulties do they provide compensation for, and how do they use the strengths of autistic students? So I think it plays to the strength of autistic students because they're really strong in visual and auditory processing and in working memory. And it helps the ASD student to develop a positive self-image, raise their self-esteem, and increase their confidence, and reduces anxiety about changes to routines and activities, and provides more understanding and information about classroom schedules and upcoming events. And it explains situations and increases the understanding of those situations, behavior situations, for example. It It helps students to overcome challenges. It increases social interactions. It helps them to develop the skills and strategies to cope with situations. It promotes smoother transition. It also helps and gives them perspective on what others are thinking so that they can actually develop that empathy when they're dealing with others. Helps them to problem solve. And this was from the New Zealand Autism, um, which says that stories and reviews of conversations can greatly enhance understanding of social interaction for autistic students. It's from Tilting the Seesaw Handbook. I think you're.
Thanks, Vinesh. I thought though it was important to have the goal of social stories. So I found it in the module said to help the students understand the situation or the event. Social stories can be effective intervention for presenting social information to autistic students in a format that is better suited to their level, their cognitive and communication needs. And that was Carla and Wolf, 2018. Using the strengths of the autistic students and their visual processing and memory strength to compensate for the difficulties that they have with auditory processing and working memory, which is a good way to think about it, because I hadn't thought about social stories as that way. Like it's a strength-based approach too, because they're visual learners, or the majority of them. And using stories for self-esteem. So positive stories about their behavior and their learning to enhance it. Stories for information, practical information in story form to reduce their anxiety, and stories for understanding. So we know that our neurodiverse students can misread communication or difficult understanding behavior, so we can use the social stories to support that, which will in turn reduce their anxiety about change and routine, because we'll have more of an understanding what's going to happen and understand future events.
And content of social stories differ from typical approaches to stories. And I think that social stories are actually individualized and personalized to the situation and abilities of the autistic student. And so it may include the child's photo, their name, drawings, and their personal and their interests and their special interests compared to normal stories. And they can be short, simple, flexible, and they're also safe and child-friendly, because one of the things that's really important about social stories is that they're not threatening to the child, and they're done in a very safe and child-friendly manner. It includes different types of sentences, which is directive and descriptive. And not all stories have like a prescribed amount of sentences, or that you have to have directive and descriptive sentences. And they are linked to the SMART goal and specific criteria for the kind of for what you want to achieve working with that autistic child. It's also written from the child's perspective, and it's used to review the child's progress. And of course, the child and whānau have a lot of input into the content as well. And also the child can add to it as they progressing with their learning or progressing with their goals.
Thank you. And I also got that they're short narratives, they're clear, they have a structure. They provide structure as well for the child, predictability, visual support. We can use them to address a wide range of social challenges, help them understand social cues that they might misunderstand, manage emotions, develop social skills and coping. with transitions as well. Typically written in a positive and supportive tone, focusing on the desired behavior.
Okay.
So how can an interactive media such as an iPad increase the impact of social stories or other types of stories? So I read this in a different article. It said that the cognitive ability required to use this technology is substantially lower than for traditional digital technologies, and even young children with disabilities can learn how to use this tool quite quickly. That refers to iPads.
Mhm.
So iPads can increase student engagement and motivation because the visuals are more supportive and appealing for autistic students. It increases on-task behavior and concentration, and it also encourages sustained attention. That means that they can focus for longer periods of time. And it does increase their verbal communication and their self-talk, and as well as their language usage. And it can be used as a reward incentive for accomplishment or the achievement of their goals. It has a positive impact on behavior. It also encourages independence and student agency. And when students use the iPad, there's also a lot of imitation of behaviors, which is good learning for them. It increases their understanding and the processing of information. It reinforces the message or the theme of the social story, and it has increased emphasis on learning through play. And this technology has been associated with increased student motivation, attention, reinforcement, and self-direction, according to Chen and McGrath. Yeah, I'm not going to read all the names of the quote, but that's what I got from that.
Mm. That's so true. We know that they're easy to use. How we can even see young, like preschoolers using iPads and phones. So there are many ways of developing and implementing social stories which incorporate interactive elements. So could be an iPad, smartphone, laptop. They can be created by using technology which supports the collaboration of whānau and teachers working together with the student to create the social story. This allows for ongoing evaluation and the refinement of social stories to be updated for their current effectiveness. So they're easy to adapt and make changes. We can use images, videos, animations. We can add sound effects to make the story more engaging and meaningful. Also got down the bottom, we can add photographs. Technology allows it to be personalized. So it's more relatable and relevant, increases the effectiveness. If it's on an iPad or a phone, it's a portable device that can be taken to different settings. So not just at school or home, like other places they go, like the hospital or other like speech language, or we can use technology to foster greater inclusion in the classroom as well, if it's used properly. And then I thought about what on the iPad, what can we use? So you could set up a social story template on Canva that could be regularly updated. Google Slides, PowerPoint, all team members could collaborate on that. And Altogether Autism recommends using Social Story Creator in a library. So I downloaded that today. And I don't know if you've seen that one, Vinesh, the one with the pink book and the boy.
Yeah.
Have you used that before?
No, I haven't.
What I have used before is Seesaw as well, which I forgot to mention.
Ah, yeah, Seesaw.
Seesaw is really good.
really good, but only some of the schools we have.
Yeah, and also it's more for the junior school rather than senior school, because senior school and medium, intermediate and stuff are possibly working on Google Classroom rather on Seesaw. So I think it benefits more because Seesaw is more on the iPads.
Everybody's hungry. Come here.
Want me to go to the next one?
Yeah, so the other ones were just Canva, Google Slides, and PowerPoint. But I'm going to try the social stories creator.
Yeah, that looks pretty.
And I think I've got another one. Oh yeah, and this was the other one that was recommended in the extra reading. So comic strip conversations. So I had a look at that one, and that's this paper app. And so you can show the things that are said in conversations, how people feel, their intentions, and it says just use stick figures and symbols to represent the social interactions by making the comic strip to help with concepts that autistic people might feel find difficult. The autistic person leads the role with parents and teachers supporting and guiding. It can be used for like discussion, so getting them to use that to help support them talking in conversations, asking questions, summarizing an event. Any problems they have, you could make a comic strip conversation about it, and a plan for the future. So I'm going to try using that one as well.
Yeah, that's really good. I haven't seen that one as either. And I think it also came up in that social narrative affair module I was doing, like social comic strips is one of the things that came under social stories. Yeah, but that's really good learning.
And then book creator. So we were talking about that before the video started. And there's an example of one that I've used before. And then they've recently added, I'm not sure if you've seen it, Vinesh, all the graphic organizers.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so they've been added to Book Creator just in the last couple of weeks. So I played around, and so to find it when you are working on a new page, you just click next to the shape, and then on the more, and there's like hundreds of different graphic organizers.
How cool that is for the kids.
Yeah, and then there's
Sorry, do you want me to go back?
No, that's fine. I'll just back. Yeah, a couple of pages. So there was the app smash where all the apps, you can book creator links with all the different apps. I think it's back one.
This one, yeah? Yeah,
Yeah.
there's an app smashing.
App smashing. Have you heard of that before?
No.
No, nor have I. So I learned something new. It involved combining different apps together. So now in Book Creator, you can link with all these other apps. So like
Wow.
Canva, Bitmoji, Google Drive. So and when I was reading about it, it said this is good for student voice and choice. I was like, well, that's exactly what we're trying to promote. So app smashing is an important process for giving students a voice and choice, because they can improve their digital literacy. They can choose what app they combine with Book Creator. So they can bring everything together to show their creativity and reflect and share their creations. Yeah,
It's
so
such a great app.
yeah. And then this was the one that I shared with you.
Yeah.
So this is a book, and it's all on Book Creator, and it's got ideas about how you can use Book Creator through the UDL lens.
Wow.
And then just a few things about Book Creator. It's a free tool that you can have on iPads or on Chrome, on Google. A pro tip is include the students in the photographs that you make to make the stories more meaningful, connected for them. What is even cooler is that you can have the students record their own voice when reading the book, so they can be reading the social story. and when you've finished it, you can share it, download it, so you can app smash, so put it on the Google Drive. And then that picture's not working, but that was about another book on Book Creator. It's just about promoting inclusion, so I'll add that. And then
You
there's a-
download it on your laptop as well?
yes,
Okay, I'm gonna
or
try.
just use it on Google. Like, you don't even need to have the app. You can just Google.
Just
Book Creator.
just download it and download it, and then you can use it.
Mm,
Okay, I'll try it out because it looks really good.
yeah. And then I think there's one more page. Oh no,
This is one we've done already. Oh, is
no,
this?
that's
No.
Tilla
Yeah.
East.
Oh, okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is all my learning from the module, and I'll start from the top. So the first thing I learned then in under story supports that there's three main types of story supports, which is stories for self-esteem, then stories for understanding, and stories for information. And even though I've done social stories, I actually haven't done any stories for self-esteem as yet. It's more about understanding and information. So that's something I would like to explore next and actually create one for self-esteem.
Mm.
And then I also learned that using an iPad when you're presenting a social story increases on-task behaviors of autistic students. And this was in a reading that I did, and that was by Vandermeer and Griffith University. It gave a whole lot of research on how iPads actually impact students with autism, and it was really interesting reading. And social stories are not just written for behavior changes, or that's not the intention of behind it, but it's more to support autistic students with understanding and providing them with information. So I think that there's a misconception about social stories, which I also had at the beginning before I learned all about it. And the other thing I learned is that the main difference of story supports to other stories is that it's individualized and tailored to the situation, ability, and interest of the child, and personalized to include their name, their photos, their memories, their drawings, and also that is ongoing, and that the stories can be added to. There has the input of the student, and also collaboration of Fano. And then under sensory considerations, I've learned that there is a need to modify the learning environment of autistic students in order to reduce their anxiety and sensory overload. I don't know why I got there. I mean, they're oversensitive or undersensitive. And there's two types of sensitivity, hypersensitivity and hyposensitivity. And I've given examples there. One, when you're oversensitive, that means pulling away from touch. And when you're undersensitive, it's actually touching people or objects. The next one is peer-mediated approaches. And MacArthur 2009 says there's really three major components to inclusion. That is presence, participation, and addressing barriers. So presence meaning that you actually have to have the peers there working with the autistic students, and you have to have their participation and address any barriers that they encounter. And the last one is circle of friends. This is one of the effective interventions that actually promotes communication and social skills of children with autism and facilitates their inclusion in mainstream settings. And I've learned that this approach is not about actually forming friendships, but it's actually about forming, developing, and improving social skills of children, which may lead to the formation of friendships, according to Whitaker. Yep.
Oh, I just learned lots from you, Vinesh. Thank you. Sure.
Same, it goes both ways.
To, for the sensory research, I put about the sensory profile of 281 3 to 6 year olds, found that 95% of them had some kind of processing difficulty. So for kids that aren't autistic, it's going to support everyone, because
Mm.
you don't just have to be autistic to have sensory difficulty. With the most significant being in the category of under responsive, seek sensation, auditory sensitivity, and tactical. Many had mixed profiles, being undersensitive in some area and oversensitive in some. So I think that's really important for all teachers to understand. Anxiety, the strong link between sensory processing and anxiety, which leads to meltdowns. So how can we support reducing the sensory load where they're oversensitive, and that will provide ways to manage the anxiety. And then I liked the way to think about it as a sensory diet, because I hadn't heard that before, and how that was used by occupational therapist Patricia in 1984. So a long time ago, like to be thinking about that. And then I feel like in our teaching qualifications, like we didn't learn much about it when we studied or at school, about the sensory input for developing the brain. And so from the sensory diet, just like the key ideas. So high energy activities. And she suggested bouncing and running in between focused activities. So I want to learn more about that, like whether there's specific tasks. Because what I had learned, like in teaching PE, that it was like physical activity, just get their body moving. Like there was no specific action that was better. So that would be interesting to find out. Access to fidget items like you talked about before, like such as spinners and different fidget tools, weighted blankets, or like desks where they can work on, move around the class like the iPad, so they don't have to sit at a desk, like little kneeler tables, and then the chew toys for the oral sensory seekers. And peer-mediated instruction, developing peers, typically taught in ways to interact and help children and youth on the autism spectrum. So I'm trying to support schools to use this, and the importance of social stories as a tool to support safe and meaningful exchange of information between parents, whānau, professionals, and people with autism of all different ages.
So it's great that we get to learn of each other, because I've learned so much from this as well. I also like that term sensory diet. It's so interesting, to look at it from that angle. Oh, so there's my mata. Okay, so from Circle of Friends, I've utilized this approach when working with an autistic student. So she was there was in order to increase the whole class awareness and empathy and understanding and support for the autistic student. So when I used to actually visit the student, I read a book to the whole class, and we did some activities. And then we created the Circle of Friends, where every morning, we discussed something about autism. So we did that for a couple of weeks with the autistic student. And the students in the classroom really enjoyed, and I think they really learned a lot. And there was a different kind of awareness created after doing that about autism. And the peer-mediated approach, I think I've spoken about this previously, and I'm currently using it with an autistic student because she's not very keen on interacting with her peers. She finds it easier to interact with adults, so she doesn't actually have any friends in the classroom, and she doesn't really initiate any conversations. So that's something that I'm currently working on with her. Story support. So I have created social stories. The last one I've done, which I've also talked about, is one that is providing information about an upcoming event. And this is, I've done this to reduce the students' anxiety about the changes to her routine and what to expect when she's actually going overseas on holiday. So it's all about the upcoming holiday that she's going on. And so I will know a little bit more after her trip, when she gets back to school in term 3, whether the social story actually was effective in helping her. Sensory considerations. So yeah, I'm currently supporting an autistic student by providing structured activities. And these are well supported by visuals to enhance memory and visual processing, especially with the literacy and the phoneme activities. And so this is also currently in progress, and I would have more feedback at the end of term 3 to see how those structured activities are actually having an impact on the students' learning with the pre-data and the post-data as well. And sensory diet. So I've actually did in the past apply for learning support funding to create a calming corner for an autistic student. And so the student was provided with a tent, and we had lots of sensory tools that she could avail herself of when she was feeling overwhelmed, because the classroom that she was in was really busy and noisy. It was a new classroom, new teacher, and she was really like at times feeling really anxious, and she didn't have a place to go to. And some of the activities and resources that we provided was all linked to her interest, which was to do with the book club, babysitters club, sorry. And so we tried to create a lot of things for her that was linked to that, so that she could have that sense of belonging and safety, because that was something that she loved. Yep. That's. Oh, is this it's missing some of the videos?
Yeah, I thought it did that to my slide before.
Yeah.
But they are there, yeah.
So these are some of the resources that I found about autism. There's 2 videos, and I think the videos are really useful to teach other students about autism. I like this one on Amazing Things Happen, because it's like a really child-friendly video. And there's some books. This would probably appeal to more younger kids about autism. I think Charlotte has a much wider range to share than me. I do.
Oh, that one, All My Stripes, look nice. We have to read some of those, really. Look at
Yeah.
these. It'll be so interesting to see how your little girl went on her holiday.
Yeah, I can't wait to find out, like, whether. Yeah, because we did 2 social stories I did 2 social stories, for one on the trip and one on all the stuff that about the airplane, because the whānau and the teachers were really concerned about how she would be on the actual flight.
Was it overseas?
Yeah, she's going to Singapore and Malaysia.
Wow, so long.
And the social story was like so many pages. I created one about the airplane, but it was like about, how when you get to the airport and what to expect, because you have to stand in long lines and queues. And then like it was every stage of the flight, like before you got on the plane, and then when you got on the plane, because they were really worried, because she's really fussy with food and with spaces. So like, when you're sitting next to someone, how it's very uncomfortable, and you're really close to people, and about like food choices, and about being quieter when you're speaking. So to include like lots of information about that. But I got lots of input from the teacher and from her mom, because I asked them for suggestions of what to include in the social story.
Oh, cool. And they're only going for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Hopefully mum will have lots of photos that she can share with you when she gets back.
Yeah, that will be. And then we read the social story. The TA was reading it to her the whole week, and I went and read it with her. And then we also asked her some questions to check whether if she understands what it is and what's in there. like it was actually preparing her for the trip as well, like what to do when she's feeling like homesick and because the mom said that she just wants to come back home wherever she goes. And sometimes like if they go away, like they went out of Auckland once and they had to drive all the way back home because she was so like she went into like a tantrum and having fits and like she had a real big meltdown that she just wants to be back home.
And
So
she
we
got
yeah, and then we had to explain to her that if she's feeling that way, she can't actually come back home because she's so many miles away. That, you know, she can use all these strategies to help her deal with that anxiety.
Okay, strategies for success. Be calm. And today I listened to a podcast from a doctor that works in ICU, and they asked him what's his one piece of advice, and he said he works with 80 patients a week that like in near death in ICU, and his biggest piece of advice for them is slow down. So I was thinking about that too, like how maybe in the classroom when we're working with these neurodiverse kids, we just need to slow down and really just be calm around them because they can sense how we're feeling. And be positive, be a role model, teach understanding and acceptance. So we're role modeling that. So the peers that we're working with can also do that with the neurodiverse students, and allow time. Sorry. Time for the students to work in pairs and small groups, so they're not just isolated by themselves on devices. Be aware that students with autism can become isolated. So if we're aware of that and we plan to make sure that doesn't happen, at least for most of the day, and teaching vocab. So pre-teaching, front loading, and you called it priming the other day. Hey? Relevant new vocab and new key concepts. And then that goes back to what you're talking about, like helping them to be successful and celebrating. Like if they can feel proud that they already know what's coming up in class, like, and then that's really shining a light on them that they could be teaching the other kids. Like the teacher has already worked with them on what you're going to be teaching. Use visuals whenever possible. To organize, to improve, to help them comprehend and to assess. And back to how we're talking about music before. Like I feel like we maybe I just don't see that enough. That music is used with all students, but especially our autistic students that are likely to have a strength in music. To celebrate, to help them reinforce what they're learning in class, to help motivate and help to teach them. And I thought it was interesting that a sense of rhythm and interest in music can be used to motivate a child to participate in an activity.
I think that music is really important, and also like you spoke about previously, you said something about fitness and physical activity.
The brain
Because
rest.
yeah, because I mean, like I remember when I was in the classroom, I always started with fitness in the morning, and all we had go noodle or something like that, and it was a really good start to the day for all the students because they love that music and that interaction and that movement, and like it's really like uplifting for the rest of the day. But yeah,
just having like specialist music therapy for the kids, like maybe applying for funding for that.
they have that in schools there because I remember like certain schools have got specialist music classes,
Yeah.
but I think all schools should have it. Because I mean, I think more kids will benefit from that than anything else. Huh?
And then just a class just for the neurodiverse kids. Like more music therapy rather than worried about playing it.
Yeah. Do we have any other? Oh, there's your slides, Charlotte.
So that was these books were recommended on in the extra module. And those pages, the pictures that aren't uploading, they're the videos, so you can see some of those books.
I wonder why the videos are not showing.
But the wings one, I really like that. That's hope spelled backwards. So that's one to have a look at. And what did you say? Like, what did you mean? So this is all like metaphors. So how to help autistic student understand when they don't understand the metaphors. And then I think there's another couple of pages maybe.
Oh, sorry, I went too fast. Oh, I like this.
Yeah. So there's videos and books about autism. You can just change the picture so the teacher can put a photo of them on. And I tried to make like a cute bit.
Just into our Padlet, these 2 pages.
Yeah.
Or these 3 pages are all, I think we've got some like that's duplicated, but maybe put all of this into our Padlet. Don't you think? Because that will be good resources for the rest of our cluster as well.
Yes.
I love it. I like the way you've done it. I think that's the end of our module. Thank you, Charlotte. I've learned so much, especially about book creator.
Yeah.
And that's a social story creator. I'm going to try that as well. So I've learned heaps from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just going to stop sharing, stop recording. And stop sharing.
Can you tell Vanessa part 4? Her son might want to come and do it. What do you do at part 4?
It's let us teach you couple.
But what is parkour for people that don't know what it is?
It's running and
What else?
I don't know.
Do you do tricks like flips and stuff?
Yeah, that's parkour.
Like,
and then you jump over high walls.
High walls?
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah. You've been asking every day, can I go today? Can I go today?
But so what time does it open though?
Before our class starts. I think it's 8:30.
Oh, okay. But so you'd have to leave home really early. You then will say definitely no because he hates getting up early.
Does he?
Oh yeah, they all sleep till late here. I'm the only one up in the mornings.
Nico's up at 6 o'clock.
Is it? Oh my gosh, he's so good. How come he gets up so early? He's like his mom. He takes after his mom.
But he'll get up if I'm trying to have a sleep and he'll still just get up before me. This morning he was up at 5:30 or 5, eh, Nico? Like, go back to sleep.
And what does he do from 5:30?
If we're he's supposed to practice his keyboard, his piano, before he does anything else. And then that tries to wake his brother up. And then if he has like a list of things he has to do, and if he's got them all finished, then he's allowed to watch TV.
So does he do chores or like other stuff?
He has to read, he has to do some maths.
Does he do all of that in the holidays? He's so good. Can you come tell you then to do all of that in the holidays? My son?
I brought him I printed lots of math stuff for him. Like you did a Minecraft mystery one yesterday, eh?
And I did a winter
activity, maths activity book.
He's such a good role model, Charlotte.
I'm trying. His report was really good, except for maths. But I thought maths was his strength.
No, writing.
Writing.
Oh, the same with you then. His report was really good. I mean, even he didn't do badly, but it was like he can improve on maths. So I said to him, he needs to work a little bit more in maths, but like he feels like what he's doing in school is enough, but I think you need more than that for maths. you know?
I
But
just had a look. It's 8 a.m. until 4:30. So
I'll
when
ask
I
you.
looked at our timetable, I thought I could just go pick him up at morning tea, at afternoon tea, in that break that we have, and then I'll just bring him back for our last session.
Wait,
Sure.
our session is from 8 to 4:30 on Monday and Tuesday.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's so long.
Yeah, but if he just goes 8 to 3 or 3:30, whatever time our break is. But they I think they have like a bit of downtime. Maybe they might like watch a movie for half an hour or something, so it's not full on all day.
I'll hope so.
Yeah.
Can't wait for those 2 days to be over though.
Yeah.
I know I'm being very negative, but I just don't want to even go because I'm thinking, oh, I could be using all that time to study or finish my other work.
It will be
But
nice to meet other people though that are studying.
But then some of them are so onto things, they've already finished all the
I know
modules. So.
that might be stressful.
And some people are so like overly confident even on the Zooms. I haven't done any Zooms for such a long time now. The Tuesday Zoom. You? No, they haven't had any in the last couple of weeks,
No.
but
But the last few ones that we did have, like I went on at the start and I was just like, oh, it didn't sound like I was going to learn much or what we needed to learn. So
yeah, and I think I'm so focused on finishing, like trying to finish the modules and keep up track that, you know what I mean? It's like kind of like if you were to spend 1 hour there, I'd rather spend that 1 hour doing something more constructive in that time. Because sometimes you spend the whole hour listening and you haven't learned anything, like, oh, it's nothing to do with the modules. So it's kind of frustrating. But aren't you glad we finished another one now?
Yes, thank you.
We're getting closer and closer.
Did you hear the fire alarm? It went
Yeah,
off
yeah.
twice. There
Yeah.
was power lines down, and then there was a message: "Come to the fire station. There's a house fire."
What happens in that case? Do you have to go or?
I put on standby. I put on standby from the first call, and then I got called again, and I was like, "Oh no, I want to finish this module." But I'll check now if they need help.
Are you still going?
And then the dog, because he hasn't been for a walk today, so he was trying to tell me to take him for a walk, and then Nico's telling me that he wants to eat. I was like, "Oh no!"
Oh my
But
God!
we
So
did-
I think Nico comes first, so you have to take him for to have his dinner. Then you take the dog for a walk, and then after that you go for the if they still need you.
I know. And then I want to have a shower, and then I want to sit down and work on that transition model and work on putting everything on my portfolio that I
Oh
haven't.
yeah, I haven't even done that. But I must download the thing now. I'll do it after we finish the call. But yeah, we can do the next one. I haven't even added to the Padlet I created yet. I still have to add some.
That's all right. We should do it this weekend.
Yeah, we can get lots done this weekend, hopefully.
Yeah.
And so we'll try our best for Sunday, right?
Yes.
But if we don't, we can do it like one of the weekdays as well, Monday or Tuesday, as long as we start the next module by Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm gonna. My aim is to finish it by Sunday, and then Monday morning we can sit in a cafe or the library and start the next module.
So the next one is autism behavior. Prepare the time.
Yeah. By Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah. And we don't, I'm not going to include Tali in it then.
No. And then that means we can start social stories.
Yeah.
Second half.
Are you going to take her out of that one, the Akonga one? Or
Yeah.
not?
I'll go on to it now.
I wonder what she's up to. She hasn't done any Zoes with us for such a long time, so that means she hasn't done like quite a few modules now.
But you were right. When you were skipping through her pages just then, I saw that it was
All copied.
and
Yeah.
she just put what we had at the top to the bottom or
Yeah, she just turned it around. Some of it was copied like exactly the same as well. I'm really disappointed with her though.
yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe she just prefers to do it. Maybe I feel like she doesn't want to do the Zooms anymore. Do you think so?
Yeah.
Why?
You know, last time she said a few times like, oh, that Pacifica girl told her that she doesn't, they don't need to be so long and we don't need to do so many or something. Remember, she said that a few times. And I said, but we're doing it differently because we haven't done the whole module. So we were teaching each other the part that we've done.
Yeah, the previous ones, and now we're doing it differently because we realized after, like when we were towards the end of that last assignment, remember how stressful we were all feeling, so stressed and stuff, and then that's why we thought let's make it more better. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it is a lot of sacrifice and a lot of hard work. But I mean, if she doesn't do it, then how is she gonna? Maybe she feels like she doesn't care. That's what she said to me when she was ending an assignment. She doesn't care as long as she passes. So you can pass with just doing RO. You don't have to do the Mata and Y. I think, isn't it?
Yeah, and the other you can just copy from other people. But I like learning. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you learn a lot from the modules, and that's what I said to Sophie. I mean, I've learned heaps, and there's so much more to learn, and so much of stuff that I've learned that I haven't actually applied as well. Like, look at there now, you've got like even in this every module you learn something new. But then I don't know. I don't know. Talai is obviously got other stuff going on, maybe. I don't want to be judgmental as well.
No. But we've all got stuff going on and you just have to make time for.
Yeah, but I think if she doesn't want to do it, instead of her just copying ours, maybe she should do her own and she can share with us. I think that's a better way to do it.
Yes.
And then it will also force her to do something because like this, it's taking the easy way out. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like be mean or anything, but I mean, it's still gonna have the opportunity to share with her if she wants to share with you or me, but she has to do it. You know what I mean? Instead of us creating all the questions, creating everything for each and every single time, she also has to take the onus for some of it.
Yeah. But how do we tell her?
No, you don't say anything because you're still going to include her in everything, but like she has to make the effort now. It's up to her.
Yeah.
Like just say, hey, tell her for the next one, can you do the slides and can you share with us when you're ready?
Yeah. Which
But we leave it.
I said that to her when she asked me, can she do the Zooms? I said, well, send me the invite. And she hasn't. She said Friday afternoon.
Yeah, so for the next one, if she tells you where are you at or what are we doing, then say you send the slides and you send the information and I'll do it with you and see if she does it because I don't think she will do it.
Yes. Rather than us sending the slides and saying, come on, do this one.
So
It's
don't
fine.
do anything and let it come from her next time. So then, and in that way she's also gonna learn something because like this, how long are you gonna support her as well?
Okay. Should we
Okay.
aim for Sunday afternoon or Sunday night or sometime?
Sometime Sunday.
Yeah.
Message me if you what time you think, and then I'll see if I'm close by. I mean, close to finishing, and then we can maybe do it in the evening.
Anytime is fine. Anytime it will be fine because I'm not going to go out unless it's on the fire truck. On Sunday, I'm going to stay home today.
Okay. Good night. Have your dinner. What you having for dinner?
I haven't got anything out of the freezer to cook, so we might get takeaway.
Oh, good. Okay, enjoy
What are
your
you
take.
having?
I made lamb biryani.
Yeah, I like lamb curry.
Yeah, it's biryani is like it's layers of rice and meat and potatoes and stuff, lentils, rice, potato. I made that.
I've never had that before.
You never? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's very popular Indian dish. Pulao or biryani. You see, they have it in the restaurants as well. Like they have lamb, chicken, veg, everything.
So you do eat lamb?
I do eat lamb, but only when I make it. But otherwise, I don't. Besides biryani, I don't eat any other lamb. Like, but yeah. But I stopped eating it for a long time, and because I made the biryani, I ate it after a very, very long time. I had meat, but normally I don't. But I don't know. I think I was so stressed out and everything.
Lamb's my favorite too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I used to like it before, but I've been off meat for a long time. But then if I go out or something, I never ever order like lamb or chicken or anything. It's always vegetarian or
Is it 'cause
fish.
you don't trust?
No, I don't know. No, I've never eaten chicken. I mean, and I don't eat pork and beef, but I mean, lamb I have eaten in the past. So, I mean, if I make it at home, then I might have it, but not always. Like sometimes I make it for the kids, but I don't eat it. But this time I didn't want to cook something else, so I just ate it. But
Do
you
you
eat
like
everything.
roast lamb?
No, I don't eat.
Would you make a roast for the kids? No.
They don't like roast, but they
Oh.
they do eat occasionally. You? What's your
Yeah.
favorite meat? Lamb.
Yeah, I like lamb roast. I try to make that on a Sunday, and then that's lunch and dinner for the next few days.
Cook extra in the weekends, especially on Mondays. I don't cook, so that I have like that free time to do other stuff.
Yeah.
But I spend too much of time cooking, I think, as well.
But that's good, relaxing activity. I find it relaxing.
I love cooking. I love cooking and baking and all of that. And then in the holidays, normally I would do lots of baking, but this is the first holiday I didn't do much baking, and because the kids always want stuff. Oh, you must be wanting to go and eat. I'll let you go.
I'll see you on Sunday sometime. If that works for you. Otherwise, no stress. If not, we could always do it Monday.
Yeah. No, thanks very much. See you, Charlotte. Enjoy.
Okay, have a good
Have
weekend.
a nice dinner. Okay, you
Thank
too.
you. Bye.
Okay, bye, crew. Is it gone? Bye.